One day I was in a library. It's a law library. And I always considered it to be adversarial, as if it was territory or turf of the opposition. But for whatever reason, I'd been called. And I found it useful. They had information that I needed, and I was legally able to access it. There's no problem there. Now, because there's been a great deal of misrepresentation about what the expectation of my obligations are while I'm denied my own verification of income, as well as records regarding taxation associated with what I've paid, as well as what other people have paid based upon royalties or profits they've been able to acquire in connection with my work and my contributions to their endeavors. There can sometimes be a misunderstanding as well as to what it is other people think they're entitled to when I'm called to a place that I understand is somebody else's turf. One of the things I found there one day was a book that described some of the correspondences of a former Supreme Court justice named Louis Brandeis. My timing, my precision was impeccable. I'd never picked that book up before. I knew nothing about him. I opened the book to exactly what I needed for that day. It was an anniversary of one of the correspondences, specifically about the railroad. There had been a concern about an acquisition of a railroad, but the specifics of how much of it should be considered to be an obligation incurred by the public and how much of it was connected to private responsibilities was the specific topic. And he gave a very detailed analysis of why he understood certain things should be under the public realm and other things should not. It was the first thing I ever turned to, having anything to do with him. I did not know much about him biographically. I did not know about his context. Sometime later, I went back. Another day, I opened a book. This was a very different kind of correspondence. Correspondence with somebody with whom he wrote a book. A man by the name of Felix Frankfurter. Now, I got this book here. I just looked at it today. Louis D. Brandeis, Felix Frankfurter, and the New Deal. This is written by somebody else. But I also have this book that's actually written by Louis Brandeis. And lo and behold, what do I turn to today? Two aspects that I think are very, very important for the time being. One of which is a chapter titled Serve One Master Only. Now, he says in this particular chapter something very relevant right now, where he's talking specifically about the role of the Railroad Retirement Board and who should be allowed on the Railroad Retirement Board in order to prevent against violating what I would anticipate now would be considered antitrust laws, as well as addressing matters connected to conflict of interest. Now, I understand things have changed a considerable amount of time in the nearly 100 years since this book was written, but let me tell you, some people think they're entitled to be a part of processes that are acknowledged as having a slower time frame than others. Which gets us to the fact that today is 2 months short of 40 years in an anniversary of a report written by the Office of the Comptroller Currency concerning the railroad industry. Now, I've read through the report. I've read through the three appendixes to the report, or three letters that were included as appendixes to the report. I've seen the breakdown, comparing and contrasting the two different standards, and I've made numerous voice comments, private at this point, comments, as well as queries, and understood that I was going to choose today because A, there was recently a decision connected to an executive order by President Donald Trump regarding a rail line in Alaska that correlated with a decision that had been made by a federal agency that was questionable in its constitutionality. And it directly correlated with time frames that are coming due now. That was the intent. A lot is coming together. And so the question is, are we finally going to address issues that have been outstanding for such a substantial amount of time that the accrual has led us literally to a situation where we're financing what we're financing and we're not supporting what otherwise could be supported. Let's put it that way. Now, this is going to take some time. I can't do this today. It's going to take 2 months. I intend to do a good job. I've already got an outline for what to do. I've already provided myself with a structure for how to get started and how to, shall we say, adjust accordingly connected to the initial observations. These are going to take time. It doesn't have to take that long. I will be able to finish this before the 40th anniversary. It's very comprehensive. But I also am going to acknowledge an authority that thus far I have found to be very affirming in providing a reference point about part of the manners in which staggered time frames also have quantum implications when it comes to revealing intent. I'm going to go there and I'm going to quote a former justice of the Texas Supreme Court who said, "When you strip away the legal framework, the intent is revealed." At the same time, some people look nice when they dress up, right? As I think this is in many ways the major concerns that will be addressed in the next 2 months. Who's dressing what up? And what is there when it's been stripped down? Who decides what's worth what? And how long does it take for us to get what we need? It's very simple in one manner. I intend to do a good job. I'll do the best I can. There's a lot at stake here, but I will follow through. It is 2:51 p.m. on December 4th, 2020, Dallas, Texas.